My name is Andrew McIlrath, and I wanted to share with you my perspective on the process of growing into a role of service, particularly as an individual that offers healing services to individuals in whatever form that may show up. And the reason why I wanted to put together a video on this topic is that what I'm observing in the clients that are showing up for me is that a lot of them are right on the edge of starting a new chapter related to their service work in the world. And for some of us, we kind of fell into a default pattern, maybe related to the kinds of work that we've done. And that might have been informed by the external world, and it may have put us in a box in a certain way. And what I have observed is that for some people where their role of service is part of their life's mission, as it were, and that's kind of a big word and means a lot of different things to people, but eventually it feels like people get clear on what that is, no matter where they are in their life's journey. And sometimes the motivating factor for that to happen for folks can be really dramatic and sort of a real turning point and provides a lot of clarity. So there are a number of different steps that can happen for people. So the first one that I would put out there is that a change needs to occur for individuals to be happy in their lives. And that can come up as a wake-up call, maybe showing up as physical symptoms or circumstantial dynamics, but it becomes clear something needs to happen and change for me to move forward. So the next step that I perceive that occurs is accepting or identifying the gifts or abilities that one may have to share with the world. And this may bring up a lot of feelings. There may be lots of layers and levels. It may be parts of ourselves that we have not really shown to the world for any number of reasons. They might be a little bit too out there, or we might have some shame around it. And that's its own process. So learning to make peace with your nature as someone who can be of service is important. And there's definitely a level of self-acceptance around that. And then another component that I perceive is then bringing that, once a certain level of self-acceptance has occurred around that, is then to effectively come out to the world and communicate that this is something that you're working on, that you want to develop, that's part of your goal. And again, this can be a whole other level. There might be a backstory around hiding these parts of yourselves or rubbing up against ideas or traditions that you were raised with, or that your family members or your significant others may feel about this process and what you're moving towards and into. And along that process may come some negotiation. There may be the ends of some relationships that occur. You may find yourself gravitated to new people in your life. And I think part of that way to navigate that appropriately is to really honor and trust that your guidance, your internal guidance mechanism around your journey needs to be honored. And that takes a great deal of courage, quite honestly. But I think when many of us are drawn into this role of service, it's almost like a force of nature. You can't really get around it. You begin to recognize that, either I go down this path that I'm being drawn to, or the alternative is going to feel really different and may not be so great. So negotiating your community and family around this change can be significant. So once you've made peace with it and you've kind of come out to the world around you immediately in your closer vicinity, once that gets all resolved, then you start to move forward and then maybe start to put it out into the world, into a bigger realm, to be seen and to be acknowledged. And again, this can be another space where stuff around being persecuted previously in other experiences, it might go back into other lives, it might be ancestral memory. This stuff can also come up because you're really putting yourself out in the world, right? And along in this process is also determining the value of the service that you're offering. So again, this may rub up against, well, I really want to give this away for free. Where does money and the economy fall in to this gift or thing or process that I want to share with people that I experience is totally outside of a financial monetary evaluation system, right? So that's a negotiation of how you're going to work through that. And, that's a really individual process and really depends on the circumstance and community in which you're offering it, and how do you hold it, and do you give some stuff away free pro bono, or do you want to charge for everything? And again, that's a whole process in and of itself. So once you move through that, and again, some of these are ongoing. I don't think that you necessarily reach a final marker around all of them, but I definitely perceive that there are stages. So with this spot of determining the value, asking for it as you value it, and then receiving it, there's another piece there around receiving. So identifying how you value it, putting it out there, and then it coming back and supporting you is definitely another stage. There may be stuff that comes up around prosperity or abundance, self-worth. All that stuff is tied in there. So once things are flowing, you've identified the value of it, and things are happening, then I think another part of it, which I'm not sure that I'm there quite personally, but I think eventually gets there, is, okay, well, what's next? I've built this structure for myself. What's working? What's not? Am I going to risk making change around this structure in some way? What's the result of that? And how much do I trust? So trust is probably a component all the way through these steps, and also honoring the truth that comes through you. But I think at some point, once something is built, there's an evaluation process that occurs. Is this actually meeting my goals? Is this connecting with the populations that I want to? What's my vision for this once I've built it? And, I'm not quite sure on this next steps following it, but I wanted to identify that if you're motivated and on the path of being in a role of service, that you're probably going through a lot that people experience that are on this path in general. So I hope this information has been helpful for you. Again, I don't feel like this necessarily is going to cover a textbook model that some people may hold, but it was important for me to be able to communicate this because I feel like there are so many people that are showing up in my space that are starting this journey, and it's important to understand the common experiences that we may have and where those challenges can be moved into a place of alignment and things can be moved easily. So thank you so much for taking the time. Please reach out to me if you have any other questions.